Hi everyone. Hi everyone. It is me. Hi everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw. Tony Schiavone here with Pat McAfee and with Wade Barrett. And today on Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw, we're gonna have Father Yule here today on Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw, since we're now getting into the Yule time now. And that's why we have Father Yule here today on Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw. You got that right, Pat McAfee says. We got Father Yule here, and he's been showing up all through the 11th month, now into the 12th month here in the toy wrestling gathering, and it'll be good to get to see him. Everything is working out very well. And it's good to see Father Yule here today on Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw. Are you kidding me? Wade Barrett said Father Yule's here. I mean, yeah, first you see him at the end of the Thanksgiving Day walk. Now he's here now. And, and I know at the end of the day he's going to go around and talk about, I don't like him. He's most likely put me on the bad list, and I'm not going to put up with being on the bad list. Oh, God. Alright. Ho, 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 and happy Yule. It is me, Santa Claus, also known as Father Yule to others. And I just want to say that I have been looking at a list, and I have been, checking that list twice. And I want to say there are some folks that are on the good list, and there are some folks that are on the bad list. And sadly, they know who they are. But there's always time to get yourself off the bad list and back onto the good list. And I can't go through the list of everyone who's on that list, because it was just like, because it would just take, so long, to put everyone on that list. It would then take such a long time, to put everyone on that list, So long to list everyone who's on that list. But there's always time, and I can always forgive everyone for their mistakes. You again, Father Yule. I told you again, stop besmirching the name of Skilled Wrestling. There is no need for you being here. Gunther, however you say your name. Santa Claus or Father Santa Claus or Father Yule, whatever you want to call me. I'm not besmirching Skilled Wrestling, and I never was. All right? I have been in Skilled Wrestling since the beginning, and every Skilled Wrestling business has had me in some way or another. And I do know that this year, OVW, AEW, and WWE will be most likely the only ones having me in their shows. And I'll tell you something right now, Gunther. I don't think what you did to me yesterday was right. You think that Medusa standing up for you yesterday, Father Yule, was sad. But then again, Medusa is also what's wrong with Skilled Wrestling. The ring should be onlooked. You want to know, Gunther, what's bad for Skilled Wrestling? It is creeps like you who go around bullying others, asking for onlook, but not giving any onlook. Behaving as if they're God's gift to skilled wrestling. Behaving as if it's your world and everyone is only living in it. That's what's wrong. That's what's bad for skilled wrestling. Not someone like me that comes around once a year, makes folks happy and glee for Yule, Jesus' birthday. That's not wrong with it. So you think that you can fight me? Well, I already had a match with Becky Lynch and one with MJF, and I want those to be one-offs. Don't kid me around. You won the WWE 24/7 winnings and 29 between, YL. Yeah, he did, Medusa says. So what, Gunther? So what? You want to fight him? Oh, the big bad Gunther, who wants to beat up on Father Yule. Yeah, and now you wonder why no one onlooks you. You know what? You're not going to be beating up, or bullying, or picking on, or shaming, or guilting Santa Claus, Father Yule, for nothing. You want to fight me, Gunther? Because at the end of the day, I can fight back. You think I'm frightened of you, Medusa? You besmirch skilled wrestling as well. At least, Gunther, I'm a former two-time TWF, Allegheny two-time TWF Pennsylvania Reich fighter, a two-time TWF Allegheny Sheer fighter, something that Gunther you never really knew much about. And at least I didn't lose the TWF Pennsylvania Reich winnings to Rainbow Bright like you did last year. You don't bring that up. And I will have a match with you. Alright then. Let's have the match. Santa Claus, you want to be here with me? Yes. If you don't mind, Father Yule's going to be in my side when I take on Gunther, the ghost of Yule Fear. The ghost of Yule Fear. And the Nature Boy. Well, don't mind me, but Gunther, you picky-gone Santa Claus, that ain't going to give you any onlook in the skilled wrestling business. And I should know, because I've wrestled many times in my life. You want to know what's going to get you onlook? By giving onlook. So here today, we're going to have Medusa fight Gunther with Santa Claus by her side. So deal with that one. Woo! And we just heard from you. Get back here, Ric Flair, because you are the one that besmirched skilled wrestling. Everybody looks up to you and they think you're a great wrestler, but really you're not. I was one of the greats. But you'll never be as good as I was, Gunther. Well, the main wicker of the toy wrestling gathering, Ric Flair coming out and making the match, and making the match. Medusa fights Gunther here today on Monday Night Raw, or Monday Night Raw. Well, alright, Pat McAfee says, Santa Claus is going to be on Medusa's side. That's going to be so great, but where can he be? It makes me think of that one song from Seinfeld. Yeah, I get it. Well, Wade Barrett says, I'm going to tell you something. Gunther is right. Santa Claus, Father Yule, whatever you want to call him, besmirching skilled wrestling. And now Gunther just close-stoked them. He besmirching skilled wrestling. His only ground for being in skilled wrestling is to get beat up by some hill wrestler. And he's always played sometimes by a baby layer wrestler, or played by a heel wrestler. But that's it. Gunther doesn't like sports glee. Well, if Gunther doesn't like sports glee, Pat McAfee says, then he's not going to want to be in a toy wrestling gathering, or in the SF or the SWF either, because they do almost the same things we do. Well, Tony Schiavone said Medusa's in a bind right now, and Gunther, if he wants on look, he has to give on look, and he hasn't learned that class yet. And Medusa coming back around with her tail, knocking down Gunther. Tony Schiavone says, but Gunther is, someone who has all the skills, but sadly doesn't want to, but his mindset, his stand and behaviors are all stied up. How can you say that? Yeah, they are, Pat McAfee says. They're all stied up. He goes around walking around like he thinks the real O's and everything, thinks that he should have on look for being a skilled wrestler and not give anyone else any on look. Well, that's sad. The real don't work that way, Gunther. You want on look, you give on look. And here it comes. Well, Wade Barrett says, you're going to go tell Gunther. Okay, Pat. Go tell Gunther that. Go tell him that when he's done beating the shit out of Medusa, and see if he doesn't beat the shit out of you. I was in the ring with Gunther, and he's the only man, and I'm the only one I ever wrestled him that he had some on look for. But that hasn't seemed to help him all that much, because Gunther seems to think that he thinks his goal to keep skilled wrestling from itself or something. And the man's a creep, and being a skilled wrestler and being a creep are two things that should not go together, Pat McAfee says, but sadly they do. Oh, well, I know, Wade Barrett says, I know some skilled football players that are also creeps as well. So, yeah, I guess that doesn't go together either then, right? 1, 2, and a kick out. Well, Tony Schiavone says, it is true in skilled wrestling and also in skilled football that if you don't give on look to the fellow wrestler or the fellow player, you're not going to get it. And that might slam Gunther did wasn't enough to put Medusa away. And I don't think Medusa is going to get put to sleep by Gunther here. And if Gunther wins, what does that mean for skilled wrestling then? Medusa is going to break up, and we got to wonder what Santa Claus or Father Yule's going to do if he shows up. Well, there's Father Yule right there. And Father Yule showed up. And now Gunther and Father Yule are having some kind of talk, and Medusa just hit. And old Santa Claus just struck Gunther. Santa Claus was saying something, and Medusa hit Gunther from behind. Tony Schiavone says she comes in the top steeple, top post, and down on Gunther. Yep, this match is over, Pat McAfee says. Father Yule helped Medusa win. That is what I call one great match. How can you call it a great match, Wade Barrett says. Santa Claus, Father Yule had nothing to do with it, and by doing so, that was cheating. That's the only way he's helping Medusa win, Wade Barrett says. Well, Wade, what's fair is fair, I guess, Tony Schiavone says. If Gunther doesn't want to have any on-look for anyone, he's not going to get any on-look. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner, Medusa. Well, Medusa has beat Gunther here today on Monday Night Raw, or Monday Night Raw, with the help of Medusa. Medusa has beat Gunther here today on Monday Night Raw, or Monday Night Raw, with the help of Father Yule. And I think Wade Barrett said that that is sad. I truly think that's sad that Gunther lost the match to Medusa. Father Yule had no business being in that match. And that's the only grounds to why Medusa beat him. And if Father Yule wasn't around, I could tell you Gunther would have beat Medusa, and that would have been that, Wade Barrett says. Well, Wade, that is your belief, and you do have the right. You know, you do got the right to that belief, Tony Schiavone says. But Medusa beat Gunther, and the Reckoning book will not say, oh, Medusa beat Gunther with the help of Father Yule. Well, Pat McAfee says, maybe Gunther will learn a class of onlook, but I hardly doubt it. All right, take it away now, Gorilla Monsoon. Thank you, Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with Gunther here today on Monday Night Raw, Moon Night Raw. All right, Gunther, it seems to me that you still think the whole world owes you onlook when you haven't done anything to get onlook. First off, Gorilla Monsoon, Medusa cheated to beat me. She had Father Yule help her. And in my book, that's cheating. I onlook skilled wrestling. And what do I get? I get shamed. Well, Gunther, give me a break. I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you right now. You say you're upholding skilled wrestling. You talk about how you want onlook, but you don't give anyone onlook. So, until you start giving folks onlook, then they'll start giving you onlook. That's how it goes. Well, Gorilla Monsoon, you think that I really care what you think of me? You know, I'll tell you what, this isn't over. Medusa, I will get even on you. And Father Yule, if I ever see you around my ring, or see you in my house, heads you will yell. Would you stop? Now you're going to threaten to beat up Father Yule if you see him in your ring, which is not your ring, your house, which I guess it is. You either own or rent a house, I don't know. But threatening to beat up Father Yule, that's sad. That kind of behavior that's sad. And now you wonder why no one onlooks you. I could care less about onlook, Gorilla Monsoon. I could care less about it. I will be a fighter one day in the toy wrestling gathering again. And once I put Medusa in her stead, everyone else will then have to give me the onlook. Well, Gunther still believing that the world owes him some kind of onlook. Back to you, Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Gorilla Monsoon, for talking with Gunther here today on Monday Night Raw, or Moon Night Raw. And that's all the time we got here for Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw. I, Tony Schiavone, with Pat McAfee and Wade Barrett. We hope you like Monday Night Raw or Moon Night Raw, and we'll see you tomorrow for NXT.